The current state of on-track action in MotoGP has came under fire recently, as there's been a lack of exciting races, and this has been blamed on a few factors. Tyres being one of them, but the main issue seems to be around aerodynamics and how they are affecting the bikes on track. Now this just hasn't happened overnight. We have seen the amount of aero increase on MotoGP bikes rapidly since the introduction of Ducati's winglets in 2015, right through 2016, 17, 18, and so forth. But you can see when you add more aero to a bike, this affects racing. When riders try and follow each other closely, it affects them as turbulent air comes into play. You see, the more aero you add to a bike, it will increase the grip. But when travelling at 200 miles per hour, the airflow going over the bike has to work harder to pass through all the additional aero that's added to the machines. Therefore, it creates turbulent air for the bikes behind. We've heard it for a few years now that riders struggle around high-speed tracks like Mugello and Austria, as the turbulent air can actually disturb the movement of the bikes and send them in different directions. We've seen it also this year in practice with Miguel Oliveira and Alicia Spargaro at Mugello. So Miguel Oliveira was in behind and they were coming up over the rise to turn 1 at San Donato, and the air disturbed Oliveira's KTM, actually brought it to the left. So that's also a safety issue in that regard. So we've seen this happen over the years, but with the amount of aero that there is in MotoGP now, it is causing concern that it's also affecting the races, but it can become a safety issue around the higher speed tracks. And additionally, having more aero can affect the tyres. It has a knock-on effect as racing can't be as close as it should be. And when the racing isn't close or exciting, people get bored very quickly. Now, as I've said, it's all about finding the balance. Currently, the FIM regulations are quite flexible in terms of what winglets you can have on a bike throughout the season. And also, the teams are allowed one aero package change throughout the season, which is a good thing, as I can remember back in 2017, Ducati were rolling out new fairings pretty much every weekend, and became quite excessive. So limiting the teams to one change is a good step, and it's been in place since 2018 or 19, I believe. But the key is the amount of aero on the bikes. Back in 2016 and 17, or even 2018 for that matter, it was all about winglets, and for the front of the machine, they were smaller, a nice addition to the bikes which offered more front grip. But then when you have more front grip, you don't have as much on the rear. So teams looked at focusing on more of the rear of the bike, introducing ride height devices and with aero scoops just in front of the rear tyre to cool it down. Arguably the most decked out machine on the grid with aero is the Ducati. When you look at it, it looks like a spaceship compared to the 2015 bike with the first iteration of wings added to it. When you factor in the absolute rocket ship engine the Ducati has and how difficult it is to overtake in a straight line, when you add aero on top of that, it becomes even more difficult to overtake. It isn't a surprise that Ducati aren't complaining at all about the lack of overtakes in races, as they're usually at the front of them. But in this instance, the ones that are going to suffer the most are the fans. We want to see close racing. We want to see action that keeps us glued to the screen right from lap 1 until the checkered flag. Like I've said, it's all about finding the balance, and there have been steps put in place by the FIM as they have banned the use of front ride height devices from 2023 onwards. I'm not saying ride height devices are the sole problem here, but they are a part of it. We need to get back to the days of the riders being the deciding factor when it comes to racing, not the bikes dictating and limiting riders throughout a race distance. You just can't get rid of aero from MotoGP, but you can balance it out and make sure it doesn't limit the riders, the tyres. I know it's easier said than done, but if we can get back to the racing that we've seen in 2016 right through to 2020, that would be great for everyone, as MotoGP has all the right ingredients there. They just need to be mixed correctly again. Let us know in the comments below where you stand on the current state of MotoGP and the aerodynamics used. Are you for them? Are you against them? Let us know below, and make sure to subscribe to Crash MotoGP for more content.